My name is Greg Fox, 21st Century Genetics. I've been working with AgriMAX the last 20 or 30 years. Wheat breeder. 21st Century Genetics is a North Dakota company, local, and we're all breeders. My assistant wheat breeder right over here is Zach Peterson. Come on in, Zach, just make a bow here. And Zach's going to follow along and let me know if I miss anything. Before we start, I want to talk a little bit about last year, because there were some very interesting, disturbing things that came up. Number one, we had a real serious full field outbreak of bacterial blight, and it really affected different varieties, and it had a real effect on the performance. And the thing about bacterial blight, bacterial leaf streak, another name for it, is that you can't spray for that. You can't spray for that. And so we'll be talking about the BLS, bacterial leaf streak, BLS reaction on these varieties that I'll be talking about. The other thing that happened that we hadn't seen really ever before is we had a serious falling number problem, which we did some research on, and at 95 to 99% came back to something called pre-harvest sprouting. And we could go through our samples, and Zach went through a lot of them, right, Zach? Yep. And we evaluated the varieties on that basis, and we found that the pre-harvest sprouting scores from the University of Minnesota are an excellent tool to be able to determine a variety's susceptibility to that. Now, are we going to see that again this year? I don't know. We didn't see it for 20 years, but as a breeder, I have to be prepared. We have to answer these things as they occur. Are we going to see BLS like we saw last year? I'm not seeing it yet. I'm hoping we don't see it. But again, that was sort of a unique thing too. But in our business, we're constantly responding to unique things that may happen just once, or it might become all of a sudden a new problem. So I'm going to talk about 4 varieties. But in actuality, I'm talking about 3 of them to really set the stage for the variety that we're focusing on for the Red River Valley, and that we're focusing on for our friends at AgriMAX to be selling this year. I'll explain the story as I go through them. The first variety is TCG Spitfire. This is a proven performer. An excellent combination of yield and standability with medium protein and medium test weight. Has a moderately susceptible reaction to the regional diseases, which I'll take aside here. Our varieties are good standing management wheats, so if we get a moderately susceptible for disease, for our products that's good enough, because we expect them to be managed with fungicide for disease. The key with our varieties is people are trying to make a big yield on varieties that will stand and they can apply the inputs to, and that is Spitfire. Now, the other thing about Spitfire is it had an outstanding BLS reaction last year, which was fantastic. However, after harvest time, we found that it was slightly susceptible to pre-harvest sprouting of 4 on the Minnesota scale, and there were a lot of low falling number problems, which we had never seen before. And so with this variety, and I might add, we weren't the only ones that had this, with this variety, timely harvest is very important. And let me say this, I don't care what the PHS rating is, pre-harvest sprouting, timely harvest is important for any variety. So, Spitfire, a proven performer, but timely harvest is critical for this variety. This is Climax. This has the, I would say, the best in the region, but an outstanding combination of yield, test weight. It has good standability, especially at harvest time, and it can have a problem in some years with it can have a problem some years with BLS, bacterial leaf streak, and we recommend that it not be grown in those areas. Its yield is average to good. So the key on this is it's a extremely high protein, high test weight, quality variety, probably the best in the region. Very unique. As you can see from the photograph here, it is also late to head. This is TCG Heartland. This is a good standing, high yield, high protein, high test weight variety that works especially well on medium to light textured soils. It has a good pre-harvest sprouting rating, a number 2, University of Minnesota, which puts it in the resistant class, and that's a good thing. However, it's MS for the regional diseases, including scab. However, we saw last year that in the heavier soils in the Red River Valley, that this variety did tend to get BLS, bacterial leaf streak. And so we recommend this variety on lighter to medium textured soils. We don't think it's the best fit for the heavy clays in the Red River Valley. This is our first CSO variety, which means that you can use it once and then you take it to the elevator. We do not allow farmers save seed with this variety. This is TCG Wildcat. This is a high yield, excellent standability, high protein, high test weight variety. It has a MS reaction for most of the regional diseases. However, it is susceptible to scab, but its reaction is similar to Mayville, and when we've been testing it under management, we find that it really has a very acceptable scab reaction under management. It's a good scab management wheat. The other thing about this variety is it has a very good pre-harvest sprouting reaction, a 1 on the University of Minnesota scale. That's the best number you can get. And so this is going to have a much better profile for falling numbers, the measure of the sprouting in seed, than Spitfire, which gets me to the comparisons with Spitfire. We see this as a replacement for Spitfire in the Red River Valley, which Spitfire has done very good in the Red River Valley. And so when we go down the list, it has the same standability, maybe even slightly better, even though it is about the same height or maybe just a skosh taller. It has similar yield, it has better protein, it has better test weight, it has a much better pre-harvest sprouting rating. It has a 1 University of Minnesota scale, and in the trials that we have run here under management using fungicide, its scab reaction has been about like Spitfire. And so there are a ton of positives that Wildcat has over Spitfire. And because of last year, falling numbers, we rushed this up, and we rushed this to get it to the marketplace as quick as possible so we could respond to this new problem we have. So, final thought. TCG Wildcat, a replacement for TCG Spitfire for the Red River Valley. Now, I forgot something, so I'm going to go back a little bit. This nice variety, Heartland, this is the replacement for both Spitfire and AgriMAX everywhere else on the lighter or the medium textured soils. So Heartland replaces those medium light textured soils, and in the Red River Valley the replacement would be TCG Wildcat. This variety too is a CSO variety. All of our varieties, we are anticipating that all of our varieties in the future are going to be certified seed only, CSO varieties. And that's all I have. Greg Fox, 21st Century Genetics, with Zach Peterson, my assistant.